it's
It's
more
very
fun
commanding,
to
though. We can
just
hire
kind of
Lord
sit down
Blair,
here
how-
and talk to you guys. It's
This
a little
doesn't
more-
work.
You need it. Use your stage voice.
I don't want to.
Here, this one works.
Hello? Testing, testing.
Hello.
Hello? There's only one mic that works.
Just lean real close and talk to each other.
Hello, testing.
There you go.
Thank you all for coming. We'd like to begin with a number. Old Swanee River. Down in Missouri. I don't know anything about it. I met him at the Arch, actually. We were both taking this course at the same time.
Do you remember when, speaking of like breaking into song, you had to have been there when we'd have those nights. We'd be shooting those scenes were brutal to shoot those town hall
Yeah, it was
meetings.
130 degrees in there.
Yeah, it was so hot in
You
there.
can't even believe how hot.
And no air. They'd have to pipe in. There'd be one of those like hoses where they'd be trying to pipe in
And it would
air.
always break.
And we'd have to do coverage on like 15 different actors or something like that.
That's why I tried to get out of them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luke wouldn't do that.
I know.
He wouldn't be in there.
You wanted to be there even less than Luke did. I know. But at some point, my favorite thing was that at some point in the evening, everyone would start kind of getting punch drunk, and it would be like 1, 2 in the morning, and it would be getting late. And Liz Torres and Sally Struthers would find their inner like
Show tunes.
vaudevillian days, and yeah, they'd start breaking into the old show tunes.
And they'd sing them perfectly. You know,
Yeah.
They do those duos that were perfect.
And those are some of my fondest memories of the show.
Yeah.
I
Those
gotta
two.
say.
Yeah.
Um,
Those two. Yeah. Absolutely.
Anyway.
So should we turn it over to this beautiful audience? If you have any questions, would you like to ask questions? There's one in the back. What was it like working with Lauren? It was fantastic. It was, you know.
Oh, hey, Warren just got her star.
I was there.
I know.
I was there.
I couldn't make it. It was.
Yeah. It was.
out of town.
There were a lot of fans. Oh my! So the organizers came up to us and said, "Guys, you know, rock bands don't even get this many fans. You know, because they do like two or three of these things a month, right? And the streets were just lined with y'all, with the Luke shirts and the Chilton outfits, and it was just like it was pandemonium. It was so good. And Sam Pancake delivered the intro speech, and then Amy delivered a speech, and she was reading her speech on her cell phone, and then she said, screw it. She went off book and did her shtick. And Dan leans over and goes, well, I can't wait to hear this. Because you never know what she's going to say. And then Lauren made a lovely speech, and we all took pictures with her by her star. And we went down the street to the Astor Hotel rooftop and had I was there with a Warner Brothers executive. He was my plus one. We had a white Russian in the middle of the day because we just had to, and had some food. It was really great.
Like the dude.
Yeah, exactly like the dude. Exactly. So she got her star.
That's amazing.
Pretty cool.
That was really
Well
cool.
deserved.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Phew. Anyway, yes, ma'am.
I'll do a question.
Yes.
So
Hang on. And what's your question, ma'am? State your name and where are you from?
Emily Elmore.
Hi, Emily. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Do you have a question for Sean?
Well, for
I don't
both
know where
of you.
Scott went.
For both of you, actually. So thinking back through all the years of the show, is there a specific episode that you say was like one of your favorites?
John, going back all the episodes, is there a specific show that you found one of your favorites?
There is. Well, I have a handful that are my favorites. They all feature me prominently. That's a weird coincidence. Isn't it?
It's just that kid.
I don't know how that worked like that, but no. But I think my favorite episode is the title of the episode is Jews and Chinese Food, and it is the episode where Kirk plays Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof, but also it's like right in the middle of the Luke and Lorelai kind of will they or won't they stuff, and they're broken up or something. But then there's this beautiful moment that is where a 9-year-old girl,
My favorite too.
and I love it,
I'm not kidding. I told my son, yes, absolutely fabulous.
and it's so, to me, it's just like a great piece of it's like a little microcosm of what makes the show great. It's like, it's funny, it's absurd in a way, it's kind of goofy, but what's happening is we're doing this incredibly goofy thing, but we're saying out loud what they're feeling about each other from the wings, and it's this
Right.
lovely dramatic moment with Scott and Lauren, and so it's really
And that little girl.
it's really moving, yeah, and she can really sing. We
Not
both can
yours.
really sing. Let's be honest. No, she was. That was like, it's like, oh man,
My
she could really sing. That little girl, her voice was beautiful,
But
and
it's
so yeah.
Ironic, the tall and the short. It was so clever and good and entertaining and fabulous.
I remember, and I can tell you another thing about that episode is one of the. It's the only time I went to Edward Herman, the king. I went to him for advice for that show because I was like, I kind of don't know whether I should do this, like whether I should be, how much I should be singing to the best of my, but I was just in my head about it.
Oh, you mean
knowing now
For the comedic aspect.
yeah, and I was like, am I performing this as, I mean, obviously I'm doing it as Kirk, but should I be, like, where's the line where I'm sending it up, and should I actually be trying to sing better? And he was very...
Right, is it funnier if Kirk is attempting to sing better or Kirk's just really
Yeah,
bad?
right.
How do I,
Yeah, exactly.
the comedy.
And he was very cryptic, but his advice was perfect. He just put his hand on my shoulder and he said, just do what you do, man. You're fine. and he was right. He was absolutely right. It was like, it kind of, works out then when if you're keeping your eye on the ball, so to speak, it comes out in the right way. So I was thinking about the wrong thing. I was thinking about how the performance was going to come out, when what I need to be thinking about is what Kirk is doing in that moment and like playing the scene. And, but I love that episode. I love that moment, and it's just and it was so fun. And
Thought process, right? Isn't it interesting?
for me too, it's like Kirk is a man child essentially. He's like a 9-year-old in a grown-up's body. That's sort of how the character functions. So to see him really like he loved it. To see him in his element with all those kids, it's like a whole class of kids and him, and he's like, this is great. I wish I could just live here.
I have a question. We just, on the podcast, we just watched Haunted Leg. Okay? And you asked Lorelai out on a date.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's so funny.
Oh,
God.
God, it's sad.
But that's what makes it work. But the empathy coming from the audience that's pulls everybody in. And just the way you did it. How do you? Okay, you had this sort of robotic confidence when you asked her. I mean, it was almost like a foregone conclusion. How do you arrive at that choice? Because you just sort of came up to her and it was like, we've known each other now, and we've shared some experiences, and I'd like to ask you to dinner. And it was like you knew she was going to say yes almost.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's like I know that Kirk is going to rehearse the hell out of that on his own before he goes up to her, which makes the scene in some ways easier, because when I, as an actor, am preparing it, I'm rehearsing it, so I can just kind of use that. The idea of like going over the scene over and over again.
Right.
is also what Kirk is doing before he goes up to her. So like, you know, it's all worked out. I think you're exactly right. He knows exactly what he's going to say, how he's going to say it. He's prepared it, and he's expected. You know, he foolishly expects either one certain response, or maybe he's prepared for two responses. You know, like, but yes, it's probably going to be a yes, or here's how we're going to set it up. I'll say this, she'll say yes,
Or
and
if
then
she
we'll
says
start to
no,
work
you're
out
not gonna flinch.
the schedule.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even think. Yeah, and if I remember correctly, I don't even think. I'm not sure no was really even in.
No,
my mental
exactly,
Rolodex.
exactly.
So then you're thrown, and then that's when the comedy comes in. It's like, wait, what? What do you mean? No, I have these prepared. You're going to say yes, and then we're going to decide we're going to go to dinner, and then we're going to. So it's already like worked out. And if I'm ready for that response from her, and then I don't get it, then I can hopefully be spontaneous.
I feel like in that episode too, it's so hard to know who to feel sorry for. Like, do you feel sorry for Lorelai because you know that it hurts her to say no to Kirk, or do you feel sorry for Kirk?
But
because
you
she knows
just
he's-
fall in love with both characters more
Right.
because she's
Right.
being so kind about it.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, even agreed to go up in the first place, which is like superhero, right?
And that's interesting because, all right, let's get into some psychology here.
There we go.
Because I'm actually, you know, when we do that scene, I'm like a 28 or 29-year-old actor who's like trying to like build a career and make my way in the world, and then I play this character that you know that when he asks her out, the audience is like, oh no, oh God, and it's like it can mess with your mind a little bit, you know, to play to be like, oh, well, like how embarrassing for her to have this guy ask her out, and it's one of the things that you gotta like. I think it took me a while to wrap my brain around not being. I just wrote about this on Instagram when we had it took me a while to not be like a little bit embarrassed to play Kirk, you know. That like it's like you're the butt of the jokes, you're the guy. It's like oh, you're the guy who lives in his mom's basement, and then you feel like you navigate the world like that, or that you're that's what people think of you when they look at you. And it takes a little bit of age and experience to know that no, wait, this is like what I do for a living is try to bring the truth of this character out, and it's not. You know, and I feel honored to play Kirk. I don't think I felt honored then when I was doing it.
Really?
Not really. I mean, I think I knew it was, to me it was like, this is my job, this is my job, this is my job. And so I would do it. But I think in my heart of hearts, would I rather be playing a character that was like, you know, a little cooler, a little smoother.
Yeah, but isn't that the right conversation to have with yourself as an actor, trying to dignify the character, right?
Yeah.
That's the right, because that's what Kirk would do.
Yeah, that's true.
He would he would battle the same demons.
Right. Oh yeah, totally. No, I know. Now we're getting meta with it. It's great. But anyway, yeah. But to bring it around, it's like that's the weird thing about having to be 25 years out now is, in sort of the understanding that like, oh wow, what a gift to be on such a great show.
Right.
That it had such great writing, and to play this great character, and to have it now be part of my life and my body of work.
And to be in these situations with these other characters.
Yeah.
It's like the setup is so good, and you're going to work and you know you're going to be in these situations, and you don't have to do a lot. You just have to know your lines and do some blocking, and you know the scene is going to work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there. And I've only had one other show where I felt that way. It was Aliens in America, where the writing was so good and so funny that you're like, wow, I get to be in that situation because it's just so easy. You just don't have to do much, right? You don't have to work very hard to make it work, right? They did it all for you. So that's what Gilmore was like that every day. We're in this situation, yay. You know. No more questions? Yes, ma'am.
All right, I teach 7th and 8th grade math, and the kids are totally into it. Like, I have a badge with Luke's, and I'm like, you know, the crazy Gilmore teacher. And I told that I just played the hot dog clip. Where it presses a giant hot dog.
Yeah, we didn't get to my least favorite
Because
episode.
we
We would have gotten around to that one.
So we're going over Halloween costumes. Last year I was Luke, and this year they're trying to get me to be Kirk as a hot dog. I need to know about the hot dog scene and how that all was. Otherwise, they're going to strangle me for not asking that. So, yeah.
Oh, and they will these days. Yes, they will.
I hated that hot dog costume. I remember reading it and thinking it was kind of funny, and I was making the joke that I finally wore a literal hot dog suit, but that I'd been wearing a metaphorical hot dog suit for the entire run of the show. That's kind of Kirk's just like a guy perpetually in a hot dog suit. But all I can tell you about it was that they dug that thing out of Warner Brothers storage from God knows where.
I've seen that before somewhere.
From what failed 1940s musical that they dug that thing out of, and it was not designed for comfort, or it was like 2 pieces of plywood that were just resting on my shoulders, holding up that and I'm like, put some pads in there. It was awful.
You couldn't really get out of it. They're like, did. I remember they kept checking, like, do you want to get out of it, or you?
Yeah, we had
okay?
to devise a thing, because it took a really long time to get out of it. And so we had to devise a thing where, like, I had a stool that I could, like, squat over, and then they would have something on each side that would take the weight of it, so that I could, like,
Right,
squat
now I
around
remember,
the
yes.
seat and just, like, sit and get some sweet relief from the pain in my shoulders.
We enjoyed it
I
very
did
much.
enjoy it.
The
I
rest-
don't recommend the hot dog suit.
And it was outdoors in the heat in Burbank on black asphalt on a 90-degree day.
Yeah. With planes.
Yes, sir.
Are you guys surprised at all, I think this will be the second running going for Netflix at the popularity, so now she was following up to what the young lady said. You got a bunch of 7, 8, 9-year-olds now who are falling in love with the show.
So this is where we realize that what's happening with it, the new generations of people discover the show is we go to these cons, and a 7-year-old girl will come up to the table with 4 generations of her family, and they're all dressed as Luke, and they're all so Kirk and I usually, Sean and I usually have a booth next to each other when we do cons together. And so they line up for him, and then they come over to me, or they line up for me, and then they go over to him. And it is the Netflix phenomenon. And I think in 2014 they started. What happened in 2014? It started airing somewhere. I think before. It was.
It was ABC Family.
ABC Family, it was in
Yeah, it was
syndication,
on
ABC
ABC
Family. But once it hit Netflix, it just went to the moon. The world discovered it. And then the statistics going back 5 years is that Gilmore Girls in the top 10 Nielsen ratings streaming were either 6 or 7, top 6, top 7 from beginning of September to the end of February. And we're not even on the air. And that's how, and there's a bunch of like cartoon shows in front of us, so we're, really live action, it's kind of like 3 or 4.
It's crazy.
It's nuts. People are watching this show with the world spinning off its axis the way it seems to be, right? And it's accelerating. People are seeking this very clever, very funny, very comforting show. And it's just something no one ever could have predicted. It's just the quality of the writing, and it's because a woman stood up to a studio and said, no, I'm gonna write my show, and that's how it's gonna be. And because this show never could have been made today. It almost didn't get made back then because they didn't understand it. They're like, what is this? Who is this reference? We've got to get that out. Nobody's gonna understand it. Too bad. This is staying in because it's our show and this is how we're gonna do it. And they backed off, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To build on that, it wasn't until I got it took me a little while to figure out that it's kind of frustrating in the moment that we would go to work. We'd start work at 5 or 5:30 a.m. on a Monday morning, let's say. And if we were starting a new episode, sometimes we'd get our script delivered to the house at 2 a.m. that same morning, right? So like we're getting the script as we're getting up and going to work. So sometimes we're memorizing all that dialogue, which all had to be verbatim every take, on the fly. It wasn't, and I always point out, it was not so hard for me as a character who didn't have as many scenes, but for these guys, and particularly for Lauren, and that was pretty hard. But it wasn't, I didn't realize till later that the reason for that, I think one of the main reasons, in addition to the writing Amy being a perfectionist and the writers wanting to be very precise, she also Amy had to get notes from the studio on the episodes that she would write, and she was supposed to implement those notes. And I think she wasn't always crazy about their notes. I know she wasn't always crazy about their notes, but what they couldn't do is make her deliver it by a certain point. So if she gave us late enough, right before we started shooting, they didn't have time because the executives aren't going to get up at 2 a.m. and read it and give her notes. And so we'd have already started shooting. Like they would, and I know that there were times that they said to Amy and Dan, like, we would love to, like, we think this scene could use a little bit of changing, and she'd be like, sorry, we already shot that scene, like this morning, and so then it was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I think they got off her case.
And they did. They backed off. And once it's in the can on this show, that's it. They're not going to reshoot it, unless it's something, some gross error or whatever. There's an extra in the background that's sort of like, picking their nose or, maybe. But they didn't do that on this show. Any more questions?
What's your favorite episode?
Pilot. It's just, but there's so many that I don't remember them. I write them down when I see them because I'm watching it for the podcast. But and they're mostly great episodes. The one that I was very critical of was when Christopher storms in, and I think it's Haunted Leg actually. He storms in and he's like, "Why aren't you returning my calls?" And he got Sherry pregnant and the whole thing. And then Emily says, "Christopher, I think it's time for you to go." I just thought that was sort of novella, telenovela, soapy kind of.
Yeah.
And what I realized that I didn't, I didn't like some of the acting in the scene. I think it was written well, but it's just like, when you're doing so many episodes a year and you're filming so much and the dialogue so fast, every once in a while there's going to be a clunky scene. For me, that was a clunky scene. But the pilot really, because it's like the first time, it's like the first time I met Lauren, it's the first time I realized, oh, she's really great, and this is going to be fun. And for me, it was like my audition, my final audition, was I going to get the regular job, or because I was just hired as a guest star in the pilot. I didn't have a deal. Everybody had like 6-7 year deals. I didn't have one. So for me, it was like, I better nail these scenes. But the chemistry was apparent right away, and it all went very well. So that's my favorite. That song when she's walking up, and it's just like, wow, it's kind of perfect. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Was it hard not to laugh on set?
It wasn't hard not to laugh on set because we were so. I don't want to speak for Sean, but everybody really was so focused on doing the job because you had to be word perfect. You couldn't, and it wasn't about that. There were times when it was late at night, and especially if you were shooting with Lauren late at night, she was so tired, right? And you start getting that. If you got that church laughter, then you're done. It's like it's over. And a lot of directors handled it really well and just let us laugh, because the stupidest little things could, like, Alexis would maybe just tilt her head and look at Laura and go, she'd look at Lauren and go, "And you're stupid." And we'd all just break out laughing. It's just some non sequitur type thing. And I remember one director got very upset. he got very upset and tried to control it. And so we laughed harder. But no, everybody was very, very focused. It's a hard job. It's like you want to do, I don't know how to describe it, but the words just sort of take you to a place and you just want to sort of execute that, and you want to do as good a job as you can possibly do. For me, it's usually the first 2 or 3 takes and then I'm out, then I lose interest. But some directors like you to do it 30 times. I don't know what it would have been like working with Stanley Kubrick, but they do 50, 60 takes sometimes, and people are losing their minds, and it's a 2-year shoot and all that. But it's just focused on doing the job. We didn't fall out of it.
Yeah, and I think that's part of part of being an actor is Kirk doesn't think that he's funny,
Right.
So if I'm doing my job, I don't perceive myself as being funny. And I generally know if I feel like I'm starting to break a little bit that my focus is off and I need to refocus.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just want to thank you for the podcast. Quick story. Watched the pilot day 1. Only signed up for Netflix for the reunion. Started rewatching the show with the podcast. A few weeks into it, my dad started getting really ill and went downhill. So I rewatched the entire series in the 2 months, till he passed, because it just provided such great comfort. So I would not have had that had it not been for your podcast. So I will forever be thankful.
Well, you're very welcome, and we really appreciate that. God bless you. Dad.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
I know that Lauren had said that she would be open to maybe a Christmas movie or something like that. She saw it coming back. I wondered what your thoughts were.
I think that's where the energy's going. And then Kelly recently said something about a film, and I thought, yes, that's a good idea. It should be a feature film. Here's what I know, okay? I know that Warner's wasn't terribly happy with the episodes, financially speaking. The deal didn't really favor them the way they thought it would or should. So I don't know that they're going to repeat that experience again. And Netflix has the license through this year or 26, okay? So they can still do episodes, work something out with Warner Brothers. That's the deal. But a feature film, I think, would make sense. A holiday feature film makes sense because the episodes, especially winter, because it's the only one I saw initially because I had to go to the premiere, and why they forced me to watch it. The guy in Alex in Clockwork Orange and put toothpicks in my eye. Because I don't like watching myself. But this I thought was delightful. I thought Winter was really well shot. It really worked as sort of like a studio level romantic comedy almost. I was really quite amazed at it. It looked better than any of the episodes, the TV episodes, right? Because it's like the equipment that they brought to bear on that set was noticeably different 9 years later, right? So it felt like a big film shoot, actually. That's the way the whole thing felt. But yeah, I think as a feature film, it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea, and I think it would be a big global hit, right? I mean, if they did the story right? So, yeah.
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 I think it's a matter of
money.
It's always a matter of money. Honestly, it's always a matter of money. But it's also for me, my gut reaction is, oh yeah, 100% yes, I'd be on board. But there are a couple things would Amy be doing it, or would she at least be giving it her blessing and saying, I like this? And if she was like, I don't like this and I don't want you to do it, it would be very hard for me to say yes to something like that.
But they wouldn't do it unless she was writing and directing.
Right, I know. Well, yeah.
And Dan and Amy writing, directing, co-directing, because they
She
co-directed.
can just produce it and probably make it work.
She should direct it.
No, I know, I
She's
agree.
a
Well, I
great-
agree.
she's a really
Oh, I
good
agree.
director.
No, I would prefer it that way, of course.
Yeah.
And then I think there's maybe one or two, there's a couple people in the cast who, and we don't need to name names, but there are a couple people who are definitely kind of want that chapter to be done, and I want to be respectful of them, but there are a couple people who would be a little harder to get on board. But not everybody's essential anyway. I mean, No, no, he's definitely the second. But you know, like, so it's a matter of who are you okay with not having in it, and you know, all that kind of stuff. But I would love to do it honestly. Kind of like,
there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
She just has to write a script, that's all. And then there you go. You know. So we don't, yes.
Will we have her Christmas commercials coming?
We haven't done anything, no, not this year. You know, I had a million ideas for Walmart, and my commercial agent said to me, Scott, the worst thing you can do to a big brand, and the way you lose a brand, is to suggest things. They have all kinds of people that they hire to do all this market research to tell them what kind of ads they need to do. So they don't take kindly to suggestions, so no, I will not submit these.
Just anonymously.
Yes.
Who was your favorite co-star to work with, and who was your least favorite?
I don't know. No, Sean.
oh.
Yeah, because I always loved the contrast. And we didn't work together a lot, but when we did, they were quite funny scenes. And and going back, young man, to your question about focus, I really had to focus not to laugh. He's hard to work with, not because he isn't delightful and all that, but it's just like the characterization, what he's doing is really funny. The delivery, the line delivery, and you know, I've got to be that grumpy guy, right? And that's the challenge. So,
Yeah.
but the results speak for themselves.
I agree. My favorite scenes are the scenes that, like the when Kirk goes on the first date with Lulu, and the scene with Scott, and in Luke's apartment when he's asking him to save him from the night terrors, and those are some of mine. And it's so tricky. You know, he's a great straight man. You know, and being the straight man in a comedy scene is actually much more difficult than being the one who's being the you know, who's running amok. Yeah, I love those scenes. But I will shout out a couple other people because I like talking about how good the actors are. That like, you know, like everything Kelly Bishop did, I thought was outstanding. Everything Liza Wilde did, I thought was outstanding. And I always like to point out Mike Winters because he had such a thankless role. You know, Taylor's the guy who, when he shows up, everybody's, oh, great, here we go. And he's like kind of annoying, and we never really get into his backstory. He would have tons and tons of dialogue to memorize, but it would be like minutia and town hall stuff, and it was just an incredibly difficult job, and he just crushed it every time. It's like, I can't imagine how much harder, because I had a lot of scenes with Mike. And I just can't imagine how much harder my job and all of our jobs would have been with an actor that wasn't as excellent as he is.
Yeah.
So I was like,
I think he's the unsung hero of that show.
yeah.
I really do, because I got to work with him a lot, and he's just such a crafted, prepared, polished actor. He's so good to work with, and he, you know, if you change things up a little bit, he stays with it. He's ready for it. He's open for it. It doesn't throw him. He's just so good.
Yeah.
Oh man, those scenes were great to do with him. Because you know, you gotta have, and everybody on this cast was like this, and you don't find this on every cast, but everybody on that cast was like an A-level player. And you're going in there and you're like, they've got my back. You know, we can go out on the tightrope, and I'm not gonna, you know, they're good. The scene's gonna work no matter what happens in the scene. They're gonna adjust immediately, and it's like it was just fire. Man.
Yeah, because I mean, like we don't even bring up Melissa McCarthy, who I don't know if she's worked much since the show ended.
No.
We
should do a petition.
But like the only reason I don't bring her up is because I didn't have that many scenes with, like we didn't interact all that much, you know, on the show. But like obviously she's a killer, you know, she's amazing. So I think there's a lot of that.
Right. As a physical comedian, right? With the arm, all the, you know, what she would do I mean, man, the level. Because we went to see her. Did you go with us to the Groundlings to see her?
I saw her at the Groundlings, not with
Okay.
you, but I went another time.
So it's like the first season. Melissa's with the Groundlings, and it's a comedy troupe. It's where SNL gets a lot of people. It's like there's a troupe in Chicago. There's, what do they call themselves? The Second City. They get people from Second City. In Chicago, they get people from Groundlings. And these are people that write their own characters. They create their own characters, and they go out there and do them. And it's like, you know, if they're funny, then they survive and they get to write more. If they're not, they get voted down. They got to try something else. So it's a real, you know, it's sort of a Roman Colosseum for comedy. And, you know, some of the funniest characters and some of the funniest people you'll ever see in the entertainment business come right out of that program. And Melissa was right at the top of that program. So we didn't know this, and we go as a cast to support her, and I go, this is going to be cute, and I hope she does well. She blew us away. I mean, she did 4 different characters. Our sides hurt from laughing so much. The girl is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we all looked at each other, and afterwards we said, boy, she's got a chance to go places.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, she was the star of that Groundling show too.
She
like,
was.
It was
yeah.
her. It was like.
Yeah. It's not
awesome.
surprising that her career turned out the way it did, because she, you know,
Yeah.
and any studio a casting executive had to do is go to a Groundling show and go, oh my God, she's hysterical. Let's make a deal with her. She can write her own movies, produce them. That's what she's done. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How much, Sullivan's Crossing, are we going to get more?
Yeah, I'm officially off that show. Yeah, they are doing a season 4. I'm not involved in it anymore. I just couldn't be away from my family anymore. It really was just, you know, I have an 11-year-old son, and I spent 4 months away from him 3 years in a row, and I just wasn't willing to do it anymore. You know, and now I'm with him every day, and it's great. So there you go. But, you know, great experience, and, you know, God bless them. And they're probably going to go, they don't need me, you know, they're going to go years and years and years, and you know, yay.
My favorite show is the one where Kirk has a pillow, and I wondered, was that worse than the hot dog?
Oh, the first kiss.
Yeah. When I have a,
That's my favorite.
Imagine what the pillow had to go through. I mean, let's just, come on.
still have that pillow.
It was a big pillow.
It's a big seller on eBay.
I don't know. You know, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I'm the youngest of 6, and maybe this is what contributes to it, but I'm like, I can just be shameless when I'm acting sometimes. I have the ability to cut off whatever sort of embarrassment I'm supposed to be feeling for whatever ridiculous thing I'm doing, and be like, this is the task at hand, I need to do it. There you go, yeah. But that was fun. I always feel like, look, if, you know, like if they want me to take my clothes off, it's like, all right, who am I to deny them?
But isn't that the real? That tells you everything you need to know about the sensibility of that show. To wait 4 years for that moment, that first kiss.
Have him ruin it.
No. Enhance it, not ruin it.
I understand.
But I mean, it was just like the last thing you possibly could expect. And there it is. And Amy delivers that for the audience. And it's like, yes,
Yep.
perfect. So just, I mean, I also think there's a world if Gilmore Girls, if we can't do any more episodes or films or whatever, that this guy should really produce films by Kirk and star in them. And I would love to be in them in some capacity. But I think there's a world for that. I think there's an entire show for that.
I had an idea to have Kirk have a talk show in his mother's basement. Which I think would be really fun.
Right, because it's far enough removed from the show, but still it's inside the show.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
That would work.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes, ma'am.
Going along the lines of Kirk's mom, kind of a theoretical question. She's kind of the OG Mrs. Wallowitz, where you don't hear her, you don't see her. If we did ever hear her, what actor or actress would you think would play her?
Oh my God.
I don't know. Would you want to break that fourth wall with her?
No, I wouldn't, but I always sort of imagined
Like, who did you picture in your head as his mom?
Anne Ramsey from Throw Mama from the Train.
Yeah.
Alright, like going back a long time with that one, but I pictured somebody very like Kirk. I don't know. I was like, I don't know.
Yes, John. Joe, is that a question?
That's a 0, you're right. One more question and we gotta go.
Okay, one more question, kids. One more question. Make it a good one.
I'll go.
Yes, yes,
Are
ma'am.
you Team Jess?
I don't. They're all bums to me. I don't think none of them are good enough. They had their shot, and so she went through her teenage experiences with 3 different guys. The most mature being Dean. He was as a teenager acting like a caring adult man. She wasn't ready for that. That doesn't turn her on. It doesn't interest her anymore because, she wants to heal the bad boy, so that says something about her psychology. And then you've got the spoiledest rich kid in the world who, let's say 10 years and 2 children in, he's gonna cheat on her, he will. I just think, no. I think Dean was the guy. They turned him into a whiny, sniveling guy. Because why are you living in they ruined him. He was this really cool guy. He was just like this cool kid from Chicago who was a little tough and edgy, and he like went up against Lorelai in those first scenes, and he'd say to her things like, "Now it's my turn to talk." And it's like talking to Lorelai like that as an age, it was amazing. And then all of a sudden he's like sniveling. So they ruined him. He ruined, circumstantially. I think, she has an 8-year-old at this point, right?
Yeah.
She's got her act together, hopefully, in the movie, and the new energy is going to come into her life. It's going to be far more interesting. It's not going to be any of these guys. They'll be involved, and she'll use them the way they used her, right?
Yeah.
As friends or whatever, some kind of jumping off point for a new thought or an idea, but not as serious contenders. They shot their shot, they missed.
We've gotten that question a lot. That's the longest he's ever gone on a
I edited myself.
Yeah.
I got a lot more to go. There's a lot more to
Get the logo.
No, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Spoiled rich kid.
I always say I'm team Rory doesn't need a man to define her, which I do that because number one, people applaud and I like attention. But also I get to be non-committal that way and not really choose anybody. I think more because when I hear the question, I'm thinking of the actors who play them and not the actual characters, and they're all guys. They're all nice guys.
They're all nice guys. They really are. I'm just commenting on the character.
Probably Team Logan if I had to choose.
Hey, Slick. Hey, how you doing, Slick?
Oh my gosh! Hey, thank you all for coming here.
Great.
Really appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Great questions. This is a lively bunch.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah,
This is a very lively bunch.
it's really cool. It's gratifying. It's humbling, and it's just a really cool thing to have something that we worked on
Appreciate
long ago, and that it still resonates. People
Quarter
still
century.
watch it, and it still means something to people, and it's why we do what we do. And I just really want to thank you sincerely.
And it's also, I think, because people, I read an article the other day, less and less men are reading, okay? And they're discovering the show, which is,
good.
This is a reader's show. No, that's a bad thing. 88% of the book clubs in the United States are populated by women. Okay, so what does that tell you about our society, right? So men, get with it, start reading, and join the fold. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Hang on. Hold hands.
Wait, what? Oh. figure skating. The figure skating.
That was.
Sorry. All right.
Cheers, guys.